down to the nitty-gritty. You have to look very closely at every little sentence that makes up the whole play. Language techniques to look at in Shakespeare are Iambic Pentameter, which is used to make verse, prose, puns, wit, and wordplay. So, Iambic Pentameter is probably a phrase you've heard, but you might not know what it is or how to talk about it. Iambic Pentameter is like speaking in poetry rhythms. It has 10 syllables, or 5 feet in each line. A foot is a stressed and unstressed syllable that are joined together as a pair. So it's kind of strange terminology with the foot, but just go with it, it'll start to make sense to you. So one line of Iambic Pentameter is going to have the rhythm ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. So you'll find that a lot of English phrases naturally fall into this rhythm, and you almost can't help but emphasize the words that are the second syllable in every sort of line of the Iambic Pentameter. The obvious example from Merchant of Venice is Portia's speech, "The quality of mercy is not strained." There's not really any other way you can say that. The emphasis is always going to fall on those words. In Claudius's speech, "Though yet of Hamlet our dear brother's death," there's again not many other ways you can say that. The emphasis is falling on it. And usually the words that are being fallen on in the Iambic Pentameter are the ones that are strained for a reason. So Shakespeare wants you to pay attention to them. So the fact that the brother is dead is one of the important facts that sets up Act 1. And of course, Portia really wants to focus on the idea of mercy. So that's what Iambic Pentameter is, but what does it do? It makes nobles or royalty sound well spoken and important. It puts emphasis on important words or ideas, like we've just talked about. It makes phrases sound memorable. You'll find that the reason Shakespeare is so quotable is because it has that kind of reliable Iambic Pentameter structure. And it also allows rhythmic variations which can create extra meanings. So I'll have a look at a few of those now. So there are a couple that are important for your different plays. Feminine endings is particularly important for Hamlet. A feminine ending is the addition of an extra 11th syllable, which makes the phrase sound unfinished, weak, or contemplative. So Hamlet uses a lot of these when he's facing dilemmas or when he's pondering over something that he hasn't quite figured out yet. The most famous example would be "to be or not to be," that is the question. So it's got a very falling sound, and you almost feel that he's hesitating or unsure about what he's saying. Inversion is another technique you can talk about, and that's where one foot is reversed in the Iambic Pentameter sequence, which will make it sound a little bit more unnatural and will draw extra attention to those words. So a really famous example is from Richard III's speech, "Now is the winter of our discontent." So normally we would start with a soft sound first and then end with a hard one, but here we've got "now" as stressed, so that's the first syllable, that's a reversed foot. And then when we get to "winter of our," we can see that we've got two soft sounds together, and then to make up for it we have to have "our dis," which is emphasized as well. So what Richard really wants to say is that he's unhappy, so that's why discontent has to be emphasized. Another important one is the heroic couplet, and this is used pretty much uniformly through all of Shakespeare. A heroic couplet is when two successive lines of Iambic Pentameter rhyme. So it's going to have a very strong sound and is usually used at the end of a soliloquy when the character's really pleased with themselves, so it might be when they've made a decision, or they're feeling very brave, or they know what they're going to do next. So the example from the end of Hamlet's speech, "More relative than this, the play's the thing, in which I'll catch the conscience of the king." So that rhyme there shows that he's just formulated a plan, and that's going to put the rest of the play in motion.